There is a poisonous bias towards the mind that permeates the present age. We are living in the global civilizational age of the Vishuddhi. The age of Vishuddhi is synonymous with modernity. The Vishuddhi is the seat of the mind, and modernity is a decidedly mental age. Though the present civilizational age began in a well-adjusted form, the process of degeneration has led to the manifestation of numerous maladjustments. The strength of the maladjusted Vishuddhi culture is such that most people who try to break free from the mundane are immediately trapped within the mind.
This is the construct. It's our loading program. We can load anything from clothing to equipment, weapons, training simulations, anything we need.
Right now, we're inside a computer program?
Is it really so hard to believe? Your clothes are different, the plugs in your arms and head are gone. Your hair has changed. Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of your digital self.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. This is the world that you know. The world as it was at the end of the 20th century. It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today.
Welcome to the desert.
If you cannot escape this mind trap, you cannot perform Tantra, you cannot perform yoga, and you cannot fully grasp any of the things that are taught within this school. It may therefore be stated that the first step of yoga is to reject the prevailing age and recognize its traps. Perhaps the greatest trap of modernity is nihilism. Nihilism, even when it is not expressed in its purest form, is an energetic disease of the mind that permeates the global culture. It is important that all yogins understand that nihilism is not just an idea. It is a state of consciousness that manifests as a maladjustment of the Vishuddhi. It exists as a great white shark, swimming through the streams of modern art, science, philosophy, and politics. You can catch the disease of nihilism by surrounding yourself with expressions of the diseased mind. If you swim with sharks, you can be consumed. The mind is a great poison, and few can integrate it effectively in the present age. The elevation of the mind to supreme status has made it nearly impossible for the average man or woman to be emotionally honest. Debates are now governed by the false idea that there is such a thing as an argument devoid of emotion. Human beings are holistic creatures that exist as a combination of elements of the self, including blood, emotion, mind, and spirit. You cannot divorce one of these elements from the whole without destroying that which is human. Man is not a brain in a jar. He is far more complex of a being than the modern cult of scientism would suggest. The depth of man remains concealed to most because Tantra, yoga, and other forms of magic have been scoffed at by the academic tastemakers. These academics remain in their shadowed rooms, safe from direct contact with the brutal realities of the physical world, comfortably numb in their metallic womb. In their matrices of imagination, they are free to practice mental masturbation all day long without ever advancing to any substantial understanding of the cosmos. These are Nietzsche's last men, the pathetic remnants of a once healthy expression of the word, shattered into a million pieces and spread across the globe. These men and women are possessed by the arrogance of an isolated intellect. They affirm radical skepticism in all forms. This skepticism only serves to uphold their sloth and inability to take definitive action in the advancement of any sort of higher beauty. Academia is filled with these self-fashioned cogs, bolstering the disease of their fellow mental masturbator in a massive circle jerk of peer review and institutional dogma. In the midst of the intellectual dogma, the cult of comparative stoicism is formed. The man without emotion is held up as the ideal. Man is cut away from his passionate expression, his creative spark, his emotional honesty, all in the name of protecting exhausted and overstimulated minds from any sort of direct confrontation. Most of those moderns, who exist in a constant state of imaginative contemplation, tend to preserve this state by socially ostracizing anyone who displays their emotional state with a bit too much intensity or transparency. This is especially true on the internet, where millions of debates are held each day under the false pretenses of objectivity. A strange social game is played in the digital realm, one that involves the goading of a target into an emotional display so that the target's essential character may be demonized and their legitimacy questioned. Of course, the truth of the matter is that all those involved in these debates are driven by a combination of mind, emotion, and other elements. Of course, the truth of the matter is that all those involved in these debates are driven by a combination of mind, emotion, and other elements. But it is the individual who is able to repress and conceal their emotional expression longer who wins the debate. This has created a massive culture of emotional dishonesty and repression that has taken over the internet. Unfortunately, this extremely self-destructive and unhealthy culture is not confined to political debates waged by neckbeards on Twitter. The repression of emotional expression and the active self is a cornerstone of contemporary global culture, especially in the West, where a sort of milquetoast secularism has magnified the problem. I uphold the proper yogic perspective on the active and contemplative self, which is that neither aspect is inherently superior. According to this perspective, an expression of fiery emotion in conflict is no less legitimate than an expression of cool intellect. The Manipura is no less valuable than the Vishuddhi. Yet, the wider culture consistently upholds the superiority of the Vishuddhi, and institutional frameworks have been developed to identify and destroy expressions of the Manipura. Modern psychology, for example, is one massive Vishuddhi cult that exists to destroy the Manipura. Interestingly enough, Aryan culture is rooted in the Manipura. Therefore, modern psychology exists as a machine seeking to kill all potential expressions of Aryanism in the public. Are you angry? Take a pill. Are you sad? Let's go into your mind and talk about it. Are you happy? You better not be too happy. Otherwise, you might develop grandiose thoughts and decide to shrug off the cancer that is modern intellectualism. Having control over one's mind is an important goal for some individuals to seek. I say some, because not everyone possesses the Dharma that allows them to practice yoga. Most individuals are culture bearers, and most individuals are not rooted in the Vishuddhi. Yet, they are constantly told that they need to stimulate their mind. Read, read, read. Talk, talk, talk. Go to school and watch the latest presidential debate. Develop an informed opinion. Forcing the masses into their mind is a bad idea, but it is an idea that is promoted by academia because academia is run by men and women who seek to shape the world in their own image. Why is there so much depression and anxiety in the general population? It is because the general population is shoved into the meat grinder of the public education system, where the body, emotional center, and spirit is disprivileged in favor of the unrelenting stimulation of the mind. This approach is the inverse of the Aryan approach to education, found in cultures like the ancient Greeks. Liberal education, for the Greek, included a majority of the day spent in physical stimulation in the gymnasium, followed by discussions of philosophy. This is a yogic approach that recognizes the fact that the body is the foundation of the pyramid of the self in the Kali Yuga. Liberal education in ancient Greece was an active practice, and liberal education in the current mass culture is contemplative. Fire has been replaced with air, and the spark of life has been drained from the public. So what is to be done about all of this? If you want to escape the mouth of the shark, you must embrace emotional honesty. You must recognize that open and raw statements of love, hate, sadness, and all other forms of emotional expression must be carried out in the name of applying a counterbalance to the passionless and sterile culture of the mind. You must look into your heart and the fire of your belly in order to identify the truth about how you feel in relation to your friends, family, and wider culture. It is through this embrace of emotional honesty, of purity in expression, that you may break free from your chains and build a new world that is rooted in truth and beauty.
It's okay, Gary. You can go. I'm not gonna hurt you. Don't look. Just go.
Hey, Arthur.
Yeah.
Arthur, can you get a look?
Sorry, Gary. Gary?
Yeah.
You were the only one that was ever nice to me. Yeah.